Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
Fix your time. Fix your time.
Okay. So, Lisa, you might have to tell me if somebody's raising a hand
You got it.
because I'm this way, unless I move over there. Thank you. Okay. Do you want to do a roll call, Lisa?
Sure do, Lori.
Thank you. Yes.
Julia.
Here.
Dave.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Nancy.
Here.
Chris.
Here.
Evelyn.
Here.
We have Lynn. Chrissy, tax collector.
Here.
And from public, there's a few, and I think there's someone else there in the room. I see a nod.
Highlanders.
So she's a East co-chair.
Yep.
There's two on the way walking. Who?
Hi.
Diane,
Yeah.
who live next to the pavilion. Are on
Oh,
the way.
no, Noel and, the last name is Noel and Noel, like, I can't say that. L word.
Help yourself.
All right. Well, you'll know when they come in.
Yep. And then we have Brian Smith, Sheila Dubinsky, and Patty Fazio. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm not liking that they're going to show up late because I want to go over the guidelines because we have a lot of public here.
Well, we can, oh,
So I may have to just stop and
do it again.
yeah. So this is for the public. If you have public comment, please begin your comments by stating your full name and address. Ensure to direct all the comments to the chair, to me. It helps maintain formal structure. And each speaker is allocated a maximum of 3 minutes for their comments. And please note that the Board of Governors will not respond or engage in discussion during the public comment period. However, all comments will be carefully noted and addressed subsequently as needed. Public commentary is only permitted during the designated public comment period. Once the segment of the meeting is concluded, further public comments will not be entertained. Okay. So we can move on to public comment if there's anybody from the public that would like to speak. It's a good thing I went over those guidelines. Did somebody raise their hand?
No, and you're all on mute. In the event that you did want to speak, you'd have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing I read that. So member correspondence. I did have a correspondence from a prior president, Carrie Eckert. She asked several good questions. Questions about the dam, questions about the minutes of the meeting. The minutes of the meeting right now aren't on the website because we're working on the website. But if anybody wanted them, I could send them a link. So she had thought that a vote had already passed and she missed it somehow on the repair of the dam. So I assured her that that would not happen without the membership voting and being fully aware of what's going to be happening with that. Really, that was it for correspondence. Officers report. I think, Lisa, do you have something to report, perhaps?
I do not.
Are you sure?
Well, based on our conversation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you don't. I'm not. You don't have to if you don't want to. I just thought of it, and I thought it might be a good venue. If you want, if you don't, refrain.
So what Lori's talking about is I am going to stay on the board until the end of August, and then I will be getting off. So we've had some life changes and we may be moving. So not sure if we're going to keep our cottage or sell our cottage. And so I really just didn't want to get down to the wire and sell and then have you guys in a lurch. So definitely staying until the end of August, and then I'll no longer be on the board or the secretary.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah, we're gonna miss
You've been a valuable member.
Well, that's very kind of you. I will miss you all of you, but hopefully I'll see you at the beach, at events, at Carnival.
Carnival.
Carnival will still happen. I'll still do Carnival.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
You got it.
Do you have anything you want to report?
No, other than what, I'm going to move into the 3-year member at large, and we'll open up the third beach rep for, so that I can have someone maybe in this area that would represent Third Beach, and I'll move over to the at-large position.
Just for logistics. Okay, so that's it for reports. We have a lot to talk about at this meeting, so we can move on to Lynn, tax collector. Are you muted? Yeah.
I'm off mute now. Nothing really additional to report, except as you know, and it came out in the email. Thank you very much for distributing that. When East Haddam failed to pass their budget, that meant that our records were delayed. So until the assessor releases the records, our bills will not be promulgated. So what will happen is East Haddam will have another referendum. It will happen the end of July. Regardless of whether or not their budget passes, they will release the records because we have a separate mill rate. That means that our bills will go forward. They won't be estimated. East Haddam's may. So just so that if you're looking at your East Haddam bill versus your Lake Hayward bill. So the effective date would be August 1st. They'll start accruing interest September 1st. And as soon as they're printed and available, which won't be until the last week in July, I'll get them out for everyone. Other than that, nothing additional to report. Any questions?
I do have a question. So they'll come out at the end of July and they're due August 1st.
August 1st is their due date. But I mean, this is standard for us anyway, because July 1st is traditionally our due date.
Right.
But the bills get mailed really a couple of days prior to that or in that week prior in June.
You have 30 days to pay it.
30 days.
30 days to pay
30
before it
days
starts
to
to
pay.
accrue.
I think, I don't know if it was last year or the year before when the referendum didn't pass. They went out, they were due August 3rd or something like that
Mhm.
because they went out on a different date.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or comments for Lynn?
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, Lynn.
Okay, Lisa Holbert is not here for the treasurer's report. She did send me an email. So I'll read her email. Reports are on the drive. Courts Committee. I have asked Chris P. about final purchases for court refurbishment. The only items that have been discussed at a board meeting are locks and gate hinges. I am required to move the balance to capital reserve when refurbishment purchases are final. Still working on QuickBooks. I plan to run the 2 accounting softwares concurrently for a short time. Then she attached the BVA. Please email her with any questions.
That's great. She reached out to me this weekend. I'm only gonna get back to her this week.
Okay. Um,
Is she happy with her Quicken? This new Quicken books or whatever?
QuickBooks,
QuickBooks, sorry.
it's a challenge. So she's trying to make it work. It is a little more robust than we need. But, it does,
Is she set on going forward with it or is she still evaluating?
I think she's still evaluating.
Okay.
She's gonna try to make it work, I believe. We did go back and forth a little bit, but I think she's gonna try to make it work. So, I don't think we're gonna talk about asset management tonight.
Okay.
Unless you want to, unless there's something you want to talk about.
Well, I mean, one thing we did relative to asset management is we asked the people that had become custodians of the assets to look at how much money they would like to allocate towards their asset in the next budget cycle. And I mean, I personally thought that I would like to allocate a start at earmarking some money towards the repairs on Glimmer Glen because that's the asset that I'm custodian of. And I did not know if there was anyone else who was a custodian of an asset that wanted to allocate money as well.
Okay, so I think we talked about this, Dave, and that, so the two that were done, right? The pavilion and the courts. I think we said that we would let them start with those two and allocate funding towards that. And then once the other ones are completed,
Hey, come on in.
add those on.
Took us longer than we thought to walk here.
When,
Hi, this-
Hi.
I'm not sure if we made that determination, Lori, when I went and met with the budget committee and it wasn't clear that we had made that determination that those investments that we have, we're going to start allocating some money towards that philosophy, that new philosophy.
Well, I thought we talked as a board and we said, we were gonna, let the budget committee decide on a percentage, not just jamming that 20 grand for the courts annual, but let them start on a percentage.
It's exactly what it is.
Sometimes I just pull things out, Chris. I don't know. But so based on what they come up with for a budget, just like in past years, right? When we would do the budget, the last thing we would do would be the capital reserve charge.
Right.
Based on what our expenses are. So that being said, I think that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
We have insurance to talk about, which is big. We have a few other things to talk about that are going to change the budget for the 26-27 year. And the budget committee will explain all of that. There's some changes. Yes. Julie.
But if Dave is ready, I mean, because Glimmer Glen is going to be it's a rather extensive project, and if Dave is ready to present, could he still present to the budget committee as?
I think so, but weren't we gonna try to do something with the town and see if what it would take for the town to take
Yeah,
that
we were
over?
gonna- We were gonna explore the options. It hasn't happened yet. I've been involved with
I know,
several other things.
yes,
And I have not done that. I mean, also Connecticut Water may or may not do the same thing to Glimmer Glen they did to Lakeshore Drive.
Right.
Just all I'm suggesting is that we start allocating money for, like, even if it just becomes patches, because I don't know how many of you came down through there,
Oh, yeah.
but it's a mess and it's a liability.
so,
Totally.
I think you can talk to him. We'll talk to Tish and
Okay.
I'm meeting with her, I think tomorrow night or the night after.
Yeah, I think it's next week,
Is it?
unless you're meeting with her individually. Because we're meeting,
Oh, it is
next
next
week on
week.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yes,
So Dave, if you want to let her know,
just you could send her an email.
Got it.
Okay, any more on asset management?
Not unless anybody else has anything else they want to contribute.
I do have something for you, but I'm gonna do it in properties. Okay, so now we're gonna move into Pula Insurance. Very interesting, topic.
Do you want me to talk about Surma? So, as you all know, we've been exploring insurance and what we're covered with and what we're not. In the last meeting, I disclosed that our current carrier does not cover any of our events at all. So we've been exploring with Kerma, which is a municipality insurance company for the state of Connecticut. They stated to us that it was too late for this year's cycle, which starts in July, as most municipalities do. They're willing to start the review process for next year. They're willing to start in August. Kerma will also not cover any events. That right up front, they'll tell you that do not cover liability for any events. That events, they told us that events should be covered by specific event policies, so that for every event that you have, you should have a specific policy to cover that event. And that's the only way that you're going to mitigate the liability. Okay. Kerma said they would not cover the dam. They didn't think they would cover the dam, but it was subject to review, which is our current policy does cover the liability related to the dam. Okay. In order to start the review process with Kerma, we would be required to present our bylaws, our charter, our budget, the dam inspection reports, all contracts that POLA has, training and education records for colleagues who work with children. Okay. Current policies, including 10-year loss runs, which is claims. Kerma anticipates that the annual premiums will be between $50,000 and $100,000. So what I was thinking, as I recall, our current policy is about 28 or 29,000 for everything's more.
Yeah, it's more.
I don't know.
30. Well,
So
So there's like 4 different
Okay.
ones. There's the DNO and the,
Yeah.
let's see. So it's budgeted now, Dave, for 36.
Okay.
Well, actually, the actual was 36.
Mhm.
So
It's not 50.
it's not 50 or
Right,
100.
right.
No.
So my point is, unless someone on the board has objections, I think we should no longer pursue Kerma, because it's a lot of work to get to a yes or no, and giving the opportunity to board members to voice their opinions. I also think that we should probably pursue event policies, because I think we're at
I
risk.
was hoping you were gonna say that.
We're at risk related to that. And the third thing I think we need to do is develop some sort of training and education workshop for people that want to work with the children, because obviously that's an area where we have exposure. Okay.
It's an area that's better we leave it alone. The main thing, no, seriously, because
So Nancy, give your background.
I worked for the state of Connecticut Department of Children and
Okay.
Families
Yeah.
for
That's why I pointed out.
plus
Okay.
years,
Yeah.
28 plus years. And so once you start vetting, you take on a heavier responsibility.
Okay.
And there's no way to vet
Okay.
everyone. So what's the best thing that I think we could do is to require an adult family member to be present with anyone under the age of 18. That's where if we don't allow children to be alone at an event, then that child does not become our responsibility.
Okay.
We don't want to be
I'm just-
entrusted caregivers,
as-
okay?
as I'm going
There's
through the-
legal
That's true.
responsibilities associated with entrusted caregivers. So
I agree.
As I'm going through the due diligence, relative to
Mhm.
insurance, these things are becoming.
And most of the kiddie events that the parents are bringing the kids anyway.
Right,
They're
right,
not dropping a kid off at bingo and then leaving.
mhm.
right.
So,
True. But I do agree with everything else, Dave.
So do we want to do nothing related to the training, or do we make it mandatory that there's an adult with the children? I mean, how are we going to approach that?
I think we do already. like carnival, all of that, they have to have an adult with them.
We don't make it. I don't think we
When they
taste that.
come to get a wristband, yeah, the way Lisa,
Yep.
the way you have it set up, right? When the kids come to get the wristband, they have to have a parent with them, right?
I have a parent with, yeah, because parents have to pay for $5 for the wristband. But yes, they stay with the kids.
We do need to state it though. So I started the Second Beach Camp out again last year. And for the newsletter notice that's going to be coming out, I said an adult family member must be in attendance with each child. So when we write up something in the newsletter for the carnival, kind of put that in there, or any other events that involve children, that sort of will cover us a little bit better.
Okay, good.
I mean, if you're okay, I mean, a parent is the legal guardian, but
Sure.
a grandparent, an adult sibling, that should be okay, because then the parent is entrusting the care to that adult.
Regarding events, so with our current insurance,
Yes.
so how are we going about that? I got lost.
We have no coverage.
I understand that, so.
We're waiting for the
They-
writers.
quote.
They are exploring coverage for the next cycle, which starts in July.
Okay.
Okay. We can also explore these event policies. They did not bring this up when I had the discussion with them,
Mhm.
but we could explore that. And I think it's worth doing unless somebody's got a different opinion.
Nope, I think it's,
Before we go to there, Dave, did you want a vote on us not exploring our carriers at this point? So
Well, I'm interested in feedback. Yeah.
well, it doesn't sound like it makes sense to explore other carriers if they're going to be more expensive.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Did we want to vote on that?
I don't think we need to vote, right? If we just,
I think we're all in agreement.
We're on a-
Right.
no,
Do you
we
want
closed
to
on
make it
that.
official?
I
Do you-
recommend, I make a motion to continue with our current carrier and not to explore other carriers as Dave's done some homework
So-
and it,
Just to
Surma.
current broker. What the broker does is the broker explores with carriers and creates competitive bids. I have all the competitive bid records, so that we're in compliance with the contract requirements of the association. Okay.
So, do you want to, someone needs to second that motion?
Or
I make-
refine it.
Well, I don't,
It does need refining. I'm sorry.
Correct.
make a motion to stay with the current broker and continue the process that we started and not to pursue Surma.
Right.
that's correct. I second that motion.
Any more conversation? All in favor? Everybody agreed. Everybody's, I mean, everybody can't see everybody, but,
Sure.
okay, motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah,
Thank you for all your work. That's,
Well, I mean, it's better to find out what our exposure is and where our coverage is than to find out when we need it.
agreed,
Yeah.
agreed. And
Yeah.
from what I understand, we found out when we needed it last time for the pavilion and we weren't covered enough for it. That's what I heard. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's entirely, it's hearsay, but, all right. So we're going to move into properties and, Julia is going to give a little update on that, but I'm bringing this up in properties, Jeff. So, at the plant sale,
Oh, okay.
John Jacoby
Mhm.
was there. And when he was on the board, they put in First Beach parking lot. So he had a concern about the First Beach parking lot, which is your asset.
Right.
You're the asset owner. And I know that you got
One quote.
one quote. This is from John. He stopped by.
Okay, great. Get another quote.
Yes. So if you want to move forward with that,
That's the same price.
but he's doing the lines and
So
everything.
the other guy.
He'll paint the lines
Yeah.
and everything?
Yeah.
So, if you want to move forward with that,
well, do we want to go crazy? We got two quotes about the same price within a couple of pennies. Do we want a third quote? Or I think if two quotes come in at the same, that's pretty much an indication that it's pretty much spot on. But when you want to do this, like September, October? You don't want to do it now.
Julia.
Can you please share the quotes so everyone knows what dollar amount we're talking
Oh, sorry.
3,800.
No, it's actually not because
Oh.
there's tax on there and we don't pay tax.
Okay, well, minus
So 30,
36.50.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the one I have at the other house, it's about the same. 35, 36, 38, whatever.
What do we have in debt?
Fresh seal coating and painting of the lines. Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's under 5,000.
So I think that, right. So you don't have to get a third bid,
I don't think so.
but you need the board to agree on spending that money.
Under 4. Let's just say.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But when do we want to do it? That's the $100 question.
so you remember I tried calling the guy to get him to
Yeah.
come to my, no, I wound up calling the one that paved my driveway.
Mhm.
I had to wait a year. So I think you have to see what their schedule looks like.
I'll give this guy a call. He's local. He's right up the road, Cabin Road.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet.
Thanks, Jeff.
Is everybody in agreement with spending the 36?
Yes.
And if we're comfortable, probably October-ish, right?
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
best for us and probably good for him. So
Are you all good with it?
Good.
Other thing that makes sense to do it October-ish. I believe they're going to redo Lakeshore in August. They're
Mhm.
gonna come
Right.
and recoat Lakeshore entirely, and they may come with big trucks again and
Yep.
put marks in there. So we want to wait until after that.
Right.
So,
That's a good point.
Well,
so if
yeah.
we wait till
And that chip
October,
seal is a mess. When they did it over at Lakeshore, what's the one?
Lake Hayward Road.
Lake Hayward Road. It's an absolute mess. You
Yeah,
wouldn't
so
even want
we
to
wanna
drive your
wait
car
till
over it for a
that's-
week. The oil and the crap and the
Yeah, I
chips
went
come up there.
backwards.
Is that chip seal on it?
yeah,
Chip seals up. And then when it's done, like now you go on Lake Hayward Road, it's not bad. I mean, it's a cheap way out, but
yeah, they did run it over with the steamrollers this time. Wasn't as bad, but
Yeah.
I still
But they're
spot on.
they're gonna
They are going to put a coating on it.
They're going
they're gonna do that to Lakeshore.
I think he said chip seal.
well, that's the only way to do it.
That's what they said to me when I asked.
Yeah.
In
That's
August timeframe.
Can't drive your car.
that close to the water. That's not good.
From Route 2.
Route 2.
The parking at Tractor Supply.
All right.
Okay. Julia, do you want to do the rest of properties?
Properties, just a few things. You all have seen the email where we had a limb come down on 38 walkway, Lookout Walkway. Thank you very much for your approval to have that tree removed and cleaned up. I think the Pula website, properties website's working well to accomplish projects. Jeff and Brian Smith took care of the Bible court. The Beach Rakers are doing a fine job. I've checked on them. It's been, they were still in school. I think today, maybe tomorrow's the last day. So sometimes they were raking at night, which I approved until summer, and then they will be raking in the mornings. And then, the geese committee will talk about that, but we're having some problems at Third Beach, which I know you knew about. I know. And so it's going to be up to them, but we're collecting quite a bit down there now because it's a different fence. So it's up to the community what they want. The Third Beach project to extend the docks and rebuild a couple docks and realign those. They've realigned, so we have a boardwalk. And Steve Percival said he would take on that project, but he wants to do it in the fall because he's pretty busy this summer. So I'll put that in the newsletter so everyone knows, and that will give us access to that northwest kayak rack that is kind of hard to get to. They've realigned them and made a little gangway, I guess, so to speak, to get to the racks. So that should be, thank you. I've seen a couple on there now. So, I think that's, unless I'm missing anything, and then Chris has been trying to get the tire back on the tractor so that so adults can use the tractor at Third Beach.
Scott and I think that they will.
Okay. And then if anybody else has anything.
I have one thing. Gary Peterson and I made the repairs to the boat rack on Second Beach adjacent to the volleyball. And there was a lot of debris there.
Oh,
So I gathered up all that debris. There was an old volleyball net. There was a lot of debris. I grabbed all that stuff. I took it to the dump and I got rid of all that stuff this
Thank you.
weekend. And then I wanted to just make a quick mention so everybody knows this from the board. And Nancy and I, we met the members of Second Beach, or anyone who would like to go on Second Beach. There's a few things that folks would like to do, some social gatherings, some trimming of certain bushes. We're going to maintain what's there, but just do some light trimming. So we created a team reach, very similar to what we did for properties. And it was very successful. Everyone that was at the meeting has actually signed up for it's Lake Hayward Second Beach. If anyone's interested in joining, just let me know and I'll send you the group code. I think it's Second Beach. And so we're going to use that for communication and for creating some events in the future. So it was
That's
pretty
great.
successful.
Yeah, so one of the things that came up was, there was a lot of discussion about the bushes, and Dave and Chris talked about trimming in the fall. But I heard that you have the map, Lori, that kind of says what deep planted requires whatever.
So Lynn and I have been purging our paper storage, and whatever we're required to retain, I have been keeping because I'm going to scan it and put it on. So I should have it in the pile.
Yeah, just so
Right.
Chris and I, or if Dave's the lead
So,
trimmer, so that we
um,
know.
We can also ask Corinne. There's a woman at Balix.
Nancy.
She's the one that came and she went over a few years ago. Do you remember that, Julia?
It's Nancy Ballard.
Okay.
Okay.
So she came out and she knows all the plants and everything that's supposed to be there.
Perfect.
Lynn Chrissy knows as well.
Yes,
Well, Lynn said
Lynn
that Lori has a
suggested why don't we
document
reach
that we
out to
could
them?
ask.
Right.
I already asked Lynn.
Yeah.
Um,
And Dave's familiar with it as well. I did help Dave 2 years ago trim. The idea is to make sure we save all the roots. We're not going to remove. We're
Right.
going to trim and maintain a comfortable height. Maintain that root for erosion purposes. So Dave, I did help Dave. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then one other thing that we wanted to mention was we're going to identify where and perhaps either come to the board or purchase them ourselves, some areas for here's where you load and unload your kayaks. There's 2 areas in Second Beach designated for fishing. We want to really keep the folks away from the swim area. We've had a couple of instances, and I can understand why, because some of the areas where that was designated for fishing is overgrown. So after we get done with some of that trim work, we may secure some signage saying here, especially for folks that are not familiar. So if we have signage, fishing only in the 2 spots there at Second Beach where we would like folks to fish. And so those are some of the early on events that we would like to get going on.
Well, we don't want to do the trimming until the fall because we need the plants to get fed during the summer. We can't chop them now,
That's correct.
Um,
Yeah, we were
Julia.
thinking about
Julia.
2 times during the year. One was a fall and one was a spring.
Julia, go ahead.
So Chris, you may have remembered I sent a note out that I've ordered the kayak launch sign for the
Yes.
existing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
so
was gonna ask you where you
Yeah.
bought that, because I would like to get some fishing ones.
I can add on to the order. So they haven't started it yet, but I have the order. They said I can still add on.
All right, I'll put
If
together
you
my
let-
note
And
and-
it's gonna be the traditional, like our street signs, yellow with the black lettering. Yellow with the black lettering, because it blends in. It's not so obtrusive as these, like we had last year, and they'll be nice. They'll be on posts.
That'd be
I'll say.
awesome. Okay,
So if you could let me know, but I've ordered 1 kayak launch. It says kayak launch. Do we need 2 of those or just,
No.
okay, 1?
just
Okay.
1 for the kayak, but
Okay.
2 for fishing.
Okay,
So yeah, we'll get together with you. That'll be great.
okay.
But
Yeah, we can add that to our
a
order.
couple other big things that came up at the meeting. There was there's one like kind of rotted, broken tie at the parking lot. And there was a photo and ask about that. And Dave Edgington mentioned that in the past, like a year or more ago, that first beach's ties were redone and that second beach was supposed to be done this
I
year.
was on the board.
So
I never heard that. but-
whether that might be something to put on
I
the
think it was
list of
before our
to-dos
time.
for properties. Somebody mentioned a project in the fall staining the kayak racks so that they're in better condition, and that could be an easy project. But there was a lot of discussion about the boats, and we've talked a little bit about the pros and cons of whose watercraft is where and if it's registered or not. So there might be some people talking about that next week.
Okay. Thank you for the update.
Nobody can talk next week.
What's that?
That meeting is not, you might want to explain that. That meeting's not open for public comment.
Oh, it's not?
No.
The June meeting?
Yeah.
No, that's
Oh,
informational
that's
only.
right. So, okay, so
Yeah,
that,
it would be the August meeting.
You might want to let them know so they
They're
don't
gonna
come planning to
Mm.
speak.
They could speak at the July meeting.
Stretching.
yeah.
I see you, Evelyn. Go ahead. Let her rip.
First of all, thank you to whoever put the hose up and the fencing up on the thing. There's no way I was reaching at her. That was you? You lifted that hose?
That's not that big deal. You're tiny.
Well,
You
yeah.
can twice your size.
Yeah, I wasn't getting on a ladder with that thing, so thank you. I do have a concern about the pavilion. If we expect people to clean up after they have a private event, they need to leave it as they found it. And right now, we don't have anybody cleaning the pavilion.
We're addressing that.
Are you?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, just normal use. There's 20 to 30 people in there on a nice day.
Is that
Right.
going to
And
be
then when I
on
go down
properties
2 to 3 weeks, a
reach
week of
site?
cleanup.
Have you been
So-
doing it?
Yeah.
People that are having events are going to get a more detailed list of what they need to do after their event.
I get that, but if they
And
get there
then-
and there's spilled stuff on
Right,
the floor to begin with,
right.
But Lori, one of the things I was going to recommend, I don't know if this is a great time to do it, but we do have a pressure washer, and I know I have one person that said that they would do it. But if you guys agree, I could put that on Team Reach to pressure wash the inside. There's a lot of cobwebs and
needs
it really needs it.
I just looked at that last night with the
So,
lights on and I
if
was,
you
Did you read
guys
your newsletter?
agree.
Did you read your newsletter? How it said like power wash from the pavilion?
Yes, I did.
There you
That's why
go.
I'm bringing it up, because
and I actually have on my list to go to
it's
the
a good
budget
segue
committee,
in that,
staining the pavilion.
to stain the pavilion. So that's
Right,
on
so-
the holistic plan that I created. I think I
Right.
got a quote from someone who did it last time.
That was Certa Pro, I think, last time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know if it needs to be done the second, but certainly a nice pressure wash, light pressure wash, so we don't remove all the stain. So if you want, I could get that on the Team Reach site.
Awesome. Yeah,
And I just feel, don't feel you have to ask permission. Any project you want. That's why it was there, right? Put the projects on that you want to do. I was trying to get the Otises to take ownership of that. And
That's
put it,
fine, that's
oh,
fine.
good, okay. Yeah, but I think, Chris, I'm just speaking as a fellow board member. I think you just put it out there like this and put the date and then I don't think you need our permission.
yeah, if it's a work party and
It's a work
there's no
party.
cost involved and nothing that you need to bring to the
Or
board.
minimal cost.
Yeah, I mean, because
Yeah.
that way, because people will get
Okay.
interested in what they
And
want to
then the
do.
last thing I just wanted to mention, because Lisa Hobart and I went, before we installed the rafts, we went out in the pontoon, we looked at all the chains. We thought we only needed 2 sets of chains, one's for second, one's for third. When we actually installed the docks, the floating docks, First Beach also needed a set of chains. So Lisa bought them. I went out with my brother. And if you notice, First Beach is out further. So it's out in 9.5 feet of water. It's out at like another 20
Oh,
feet from where it was, and it's got brand new chains. So All 3 floating docks have brand new chains, so that's all set.
So I'm off the hook then, Chris? Thank you.
Yes, yeah, Craig, you're off the hook.
I've been waiting for your text.
Say that again?
I said, I've been waiting for you to text me to get the job done, but that's good.
Another
My,
job.
my back appreciates you.
Oh,
The
yeah.
pavilion. You can watch the pavilion. There you go.
I have your phone number.
Okay.
He knows where you live too.
I do.
I will also tell you, when I had my birthday party for my son at the pavilion, I left it spotless.
Oh, most people do. I think this.
I know, I'm
No.
teasing.
Most people try to, you know. Oh,
Go ahead, Angela.
Opinion on whether or not we need a sign for the boat launch at Second Beach, because we have blocked it with the goose fence.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. So do you-
What? I couldn't hear what you said.
I
Ellen.
lost.
The boat launch at Second Beach.
Yeah,
We have blocked the entrance with the geese fence. We need to put sign there?
It's movable, but we just don't have to meet it.
People have been really good about just picking it up and moving it over, but I don't know.
What kind of sign do you think you might need?
I don't know.
Open for business. I don't know.
Move fence?
remove.
Or
Or fence,
movable.
fence in place?
How about
Caution?
just a little note in the newsletter and an announcement at the meeting? I don't know that a sign. And by the way, Dave said it is the fence across the boat launch is
Yes.
doing a great job, he said.
He said he hasn't picked up any goose food
Yeah,
at Second
he
Beach.
said he thinks that's.
And last
big
year,
part
as
of
we all know, he was picking up a bucket and a half a week.
Yeah, no.
Because we all took turns emptying the bucket.
okay. I think we're done with properties. Are we done with properties? Awesome. A little bit, all right, so public safety, everybody knows we've been experiencing issues. I'm gonna get back with Dave Burton on that flock camera, see if that is something, he never got back to me on East Haddam, but I've been down there, I don't know how many times, non-residents.
Please text me. I'm like 2 houses away.
I go down there. Oh, so the other thing is at 9 o'clock, I'm down there locking the courts. And this is how I'm encountering all of these.
Ryan, you shouldn't be doing
No.
that though,
Why?
because
You're
it's not safe.
Well, if you see people there, just text me. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I can go too, and
Yeah.
and I don't agree with Dave.
I don't
would go too. I think having 2 people is safer than.
I don't approach if I'm by myself, but I had Coney with me, so,
Oh, okay.
actually every time that
Okay.
it's happened, but it's
If you're not,
ridiculous.
Jeff, me, we're available.
And
Okay.
Dave Burton is offered.
Right.
and
I've
he's
gone down
a
there
police
with
officer.
Evelyn before when some situations like that.
The other times people have been good, but
No, they
the other
get-
night,
Yeah, they get.
nasty.
Yep.
Just rude and nasty. It was not good. And apparently one of the young ladies said she comes 3 times a week at least. I'm here 3 times a week. My boyfriend lives down the street. I don't know the name of the street though. Okay. I said, well, you're trespassing every time you come, just so you know.
So you're thinking about signage? More
So
new signs?
what I realized at night is that, well, so I'm coming down, I see 2 cars in the parking lot at 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, so why are there cars in the parking lot? They're shooting. I'm like, nobody's playing in the dark. And I hear a lot of commotion on the beach. Well, in the parking lot at night, you can't see the signs that say it's, private or what have you. And the bunch of kids that were in the tennis court that night throwing stuff around said to me, well, aren't these public courts? You can't see the signs at night. So I think if we put one of those signs like we have in the walkway in the center of the parking lot that says private, or you have to drive by that. You can't miss it. And then the beach, I walk on the beach at night and you walk past the gate, doesn't say private, doesn't say anything. It says cameras and I don't know, something else. But the sign that says private beach is way down the by the rock wall. So really, if someone came and
So I don't agree with the signs. I just wonder how much of an impact they will have.
well, so whether it was true or not, Dave, there were two separate incidences where one group said, wanted these public. And then last night, I think it was last night, whatever, whichever, there was a, two girls after the rude people left. And they were just in the parking lot, like texting on their phone, and I knocked on their window and she looked at me and I said, do you live here? And she goes, no. Like, she didn't know why I was asking her. I said, you're on private property. I said, you have to leave. You're trespassing. And she goes, oh, okay. So I could tell she didn't know. And they're all young adults. So maybe just driving a couple of years, who knows,
They're looking for a place to
exactly. And it's perfect, right? It's a perfect place to hang out. So I don't know if how much impact they'll have or not either, Dave, but
I thought we had talked about, I'm sorry.
We did.
Got a hand up. I thought we had talked about like asking, first of all, the cameras, and then also asking these Adam police to step up their patrol.
so that's what Dave said he would do. So now I have to get back with Dave and see if he's followed through, because
I think we're getting, oh, go ahead. We want to Evelyn and then my turn.
I've got my hand up too over here, but nobody can see me on the
Next
screen.
here I
yeah,
am.
I can't see.
Craig's got his hand up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll start to tell you.
So last week at pickleball, tagged a bunch of cars. And a young woman was getting out of her car with a baby. And I said, do you have a hang tag? And she said, no. She said, I live up the street. I said, you can't. This is private property. You don't have a hang tag. And then that night, those kids were like, well, my friend lives up there. I said, well,
Up where?
Oh,
he went to get the hang tags. I said, you can't be here. If you're a guest of somebody, they have hang tags. They give you one. You get to stay. You don't have the hang tag. You have to leave.
Thank you, Evelyn.
And your brother, thank God, he was standing next to me because one of the kids was like, why are you being so mean? And I said, I'm not being mean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, they were calling us names and
Yeah.
everything.
So anyway,
Which is why we should
I
do it.
had more for now.
Yeah, that's why I won't. If Coney's with me, I'll do it. But
That's why I stopped doing it. But for now, I had more of those orange things printed, and the red one for overnight parking, they're in the pickleball basket.
oh, okay, they're not in the events room anymore.
No, I put them.
I mean, not events. The
I figured it was easier to just put them in the pickleball container
Container.
okay,
outside the court. So
okay.
you can just grab some. I didn't have a lot made. I think I spent $10 just to hold us over for now until we decide. But I thought we had decided on, for now, putting one of them big, like you said, sign in the middle of the parking lot.
The public safety team had to get on that said that they would. So
Yeah.
I think Lori's
Yeah, I
following
think
up
that's a
with
great
them.
idea. honestly.
I took a beer bottle off the beach this morning.
The girls last night.
Somebody,
Yeah,
Craig?
Craig has his hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in previous meetings, we've definitely talked about putting that little stand, where you cross the threshold into the parking lot with a sign. So I think we should move forward with that. We've also talked about putting some kind of signage on the Lake Hayward signs as you come into on Lake Shore that says, a private community, something nice and not off-putting, but, private property or a private community or private beaches or no public access to facilities or something like that. I think we should definitely do that on, at least on the north side, and probably on the south side as well. And then as far as the other, Lori, just what you said, you're walking in and you don't see the private beach sign because it's further up. And if it's at night and people just honestly don't know, it's not going to hurt us to put a sign on that on the gate, right? It's not going to hurt us to get a little sign that says private beach. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something. The more signage you have, the more opportunities for eyes to catch it. The less signage you have, the more opportunities for people to say, I didn't see it. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on it. I think we should figure out a way to move forward with the three, the one in the two on each Lake Hayward sign and the one in the parking lot.
I agree. Craig.
Jeff, go.
Let's get off dead center. Let's get private beaches, no public access. I think that's what we talked about.
Perfect.
We were
Yeah,
talking
perfect.
Yeah,
about it,
but we
and
gotta do
nothing's
it.
gotten done.
I would like to
Our
make a
porta
motion, we
potties
get
get used.
assigned private beaches, no public access that are run horizontal under the beautiful new Lake Hayward signs that we got at the both ends of the beach.
I'll second that motion.
Get that, let's get moving.
I think,
John Mays.
yeah. And I think Camaro
Yeah,
could make
they
them.
can, so-
We're just gonna screw it in. It's gonna go on the posts that are already there. We don't even need them to do the work.
Well, we need them to make the signs.
Yes,
Yes.
and we'll screw it in. I mean,
I second that
But
motion.
I think the two policemen, John Mays and Dave Burton, were going to give us the proper.
we
they
can't
said-
wait any longer. That's,
Okay, but
yeah.
I'll just ask them, is the
Thank you, Jim.
proper?
You saw my
public
email, right?
access and
I
private
don't
beaches
remember.
Or private
I-
communities?
I just sent the email.
Jeff, could you
I
say
do
what
want
you
them in-
said?
What,
again?
what I would like to have
What
is
the sign should say?
two lines. Private beaches, first line. Second line, no public access. No public.
Use.
beaches, no-
Something.
Days, because you actually asked.
Yeah, and
Jeff, what Lori was saying is John was saying there has to be specific language that makes it a better legal argument or something. I remember that coming up in the meeting. So
Right.
Okay,
and John and she emailed John specifically saying, can we get this done? So
so that's what I'm.
it's
that's
in the
what-
works.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. He got an email and,
You can't just say beaches.
um,
Parking lot is an issue.
private
Sports are an
association.
issue.
Okay, I'm gonna get with John Mays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, and I also want to say, you can't say no public access because then they're going to think they can't.
No, we're
use-
talking, we're referring to the beaches, but
Right.
I think, I'll revise my statement. I think just private association would probably be the best umbrella statement you can have, my opinion.
And I think that's what John
Yeah.
had said.
One more
Just let
thing,
the cop do it.
chased out of the parking lot that night, went to Second Beach.
So that was the next thing I was going to say. You know, we're talking about First Beach because we have activity there
I
at
went down
night now.
afterwards and I'm like,
But we don't know what's happening at Second and Third Beach either. And I'm not patrolling Second and Third Beach. I'm only down on First Beach because I'm locking the gates. But
I can tell you when I'm down at the beach, there's a lot of people that park and use the bathroom and they don't have a hang tag. And there was that guy who rolled his boat over the geese fence that you said later was not an actual address. So
okay.
anyway, all right. So we do have John underway and I'm going to touch with
Thank you,
Dave
Laura.
Burton again.
It can't hurt, it can only help.
All right. We'll get it done. Okay, we're gonna move on to, I put budget in there, just because, for several reasons. And I'm sorry, my printer died today, so Julia printed these out for me. This is why I look a little disoriented.
Unless it's your fault.
I'm like, I printed 3 things and it died. I'm like, oh no. So what I am looking for, hold on, is this. So because properties, does not have a responsible person, to go to the budget, I'm asking if all board members have any specifics, that they're thinking about, not your major asset stuff, but things like standing at the pavilion that we need to do now.
Well,
If you have any of those,
so,
can you email me?
yeah, we have that
We
stuff
will.
that Steve
We'll
Percival,
get
yeah,
together.
you got that? or-
Yeah.
figure out.
Okay.
So-
I'll send it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When do you need it by, Lori? When would you like
Next,
it by?
before next week.
yeah, before next Tuesday.
Yeah.
In about an hour.
I think I'm going Tuesday, right? Or is it Wednesday?
I don't know if you're going
I have
Tuesday or
one meeting
Wednesday.
Tuesday, one Wednesday. I don't know. But it seemed like
There may be a thing on there that Nancy and I don't know the cost, like even an estimate,
Thank you.
but we'll at least tell you, like the like the thing that's broken right now on Second Beach.
Right,
The wood.
The railroad tie?
The railroad ties, I don't know.
Okay.
What that would, maybe a
I can get an idea,
$1,500.
yeah.
I don't know what it costs.
I had emailed the treasurer to see if she could look up what the cost was to purchase First Beach. I think our square footage would be less.
Are you talking about the fence that,
Yeah, I
The-
think it's the fence.
Yeah, the
it's a
6x6.
That was
fence.
It's
expensive.
right on there.
Yeah, it's a fence man.
that was
Yeah, the
expensive?
fence man is on there. I bet you that's
Yeah.
expensive.
It is. It was very expensive.
Yeah, $3,000 or $4,000.
But so just email me and then, we'll try to come up with an estimate. So properties was one of them. And then, I just wanted to talk to hospitality a little bit, because we did fund it. And I think everybody knows we used to do coffee and donuts and all that at the meetings, and it's just so disruptive. We stopped doing that during COVID, I guess. So before my time. However, then we were using it for, somebody would make a motion for the board to go out to dinner, which hasn't ever happened since I've been on the board. So,
They
but
decided
what
not
I'm
to do
thinking
that.
now is we talked about, Julia, myself, and Sobe talked about doing a welcome
Packet.
kind of a, for all the new people that come, kind of a maybe once a year or maybe spring and fall.
They used to do that.
Get together.
A
Like once
welcome get together.
I thought that's what this was.
That's what we showed up for.
So, listen,
Welcome.
you missed the guidelines, so I'm gonna tell you, you can't talk.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Louder? Are we even louder?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
yes. Anybody, any human being can come to these meetings. You don't even have to live here. They're public. But no interaction. So,
Sorry.
sorry.
I'm used to it.
Okay, so that's one. Properties, insurance, of course, we know that one always comes late, Dave. Sorry, old joke. So hospitality, I think, what did we put in there? 1,500 bucks. I think we put 1,000 for this upcoming year. And I think if we use it for having those welcome gatherings, it would be nice if we actually got that. So that people can learn about, I get a lot of people that email me and say, hey, I'm new here. What do I need to know? But a lot of people don't. So,
Are we still at least donating to the fire department every year and stuff like that? Because that's where that came out of hospitality
it did.
when.
Not when I was ever on the budget committee.
I just think it's something we should do.
I thought it was maybe came out of safety, no? Wasn't there safety at one point in time?
That was
There-
when the police were actually in our parking lot.
Right.
But no, like just an annual donation to.
We still do,
Okay.
but I don't think it comes out
Doesn't
of
come out of
hospitality.
Doesn't come out.
No, it doesn't. Julia.
I'd like to, if Cindy Biancamano ran that welcome, maybe we could reach out to her and see if she'd do it again. I
Yeah.
heard it was for new people. It went over the bylaws. the
Lisa went to
charter,
it.
So
To it.
Lisa has her hand up.
Sorry.
yeah, well, it was Cindy and Carolyn Kress, and I attended. It was, I thought as a new person coming to the lake, I thought it was fabulous. They did not have, at least that I saw, any tables set up to show these are the bylaws, this is the charter, these are, the events or any of that. It really was just all of you come together, meet your new neighbors. There was boxed wine, there was cheese, there was crackers, there was that kind of stuff. So I thought it was fabulous, because then when you saw those people on the beach, you now kind of had some friends or someone there when you're new. So I can reach out to Cindy if you'd like me to do that.
Oh, okay, you're up. Thank you.
Prior to that, it was called Ice Cream Social.
So when I came, there was an ice
Never?
cream social.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
yep, Ice Cream Social.
Okay.
That would be nice.
So we do want to still fund hospitality, and I think that's what we'll use it for.
Yeah.
And does anybody have it? I mean, $1,000, I'm gonna ask for the same thing, I think.
You don't need any more than that. That's plenty.
I
Yeah,
agree,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Okay, and then,
If we do this a little bit differently, I think it was Julia that suggested, or maybe Lori, it was you, to have the Board of Governors members there so that new people can talk to the Board of Governors to show, maybe put together a welcome packet. So I'll reach out to Cindy, but just wanted to say here to all the board members that your attendance might be requested or required to be there as well. Evelyn.
Carolyn Kress had a lot to do with the organizing that too,
Yeah,
because of the real estate aspect of it.
right. Yep. And I think it was the two of them. I think she was reached out to and said she's not interested in doing it again.
Okay.
okay, so, and then the next thing was legal fees, which we're definitely not decreasing legal fees. Even though we've been lucky not to have to use the whole budget, it's been $4,000, and Adam's really good to us. And we're going to get to more discussion about legal fees in new business. So, and really, I think that's it. There's public safety, which we have, you know, the AED paddles come out of that. But I think that's going to depend a lot on what Dave Burton has to say about the flock system, the camera thing. That was like $3,000, but it's a direct feed right to the police station. So that was the other one that's kind of up in the air. But if anybody else has any ideas with public safety, of course, we just talked about all this signage. But this is the budget for the 26-27 fiscal. And I think we'll be signed up by then. Yes. Okay, so does anybody have anything else about the budget? Okay, I just kind of wanted to put it out there, but please do.
Lori, I had one question.
Yes,
You said a few times staining the pavilion. Were you just using that as an example? Because didn't that just get done?
it did a few years ago. And when it was done, we were told it needed to be done again the next year because it was so dry and all of the
All right.
stain sucked
Okay.
in. So it's
Okay.
now it's been like 3 years, I think. So yeah, we probably should do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you. Okay. Geese.
Yay. So our fences are working great. Not getting any goose poop in first and second beach. If you're seeing it on second beach, it's because they're coming from the properties over there. Yeah.
I can talk now, right?
We've had parents say thank you because they no longer have to worry about their kids stepping on poop
Or eating it.
Yeah, that too. Had a few more volunteers step up for Second Beach. The woman, did you guys get a list of attendees?
Yes.
We did,
Because there was a woman sitting next to you that said
Michelle was sorry.
she said yes, but there was a woman sitting in back of you.
behind.
No, she was over here at the pavilion.
I have no.
So
Okay.
Roberta Murphy mentioned certain days, like
Yes.
not every Tuesday of
Yeah.
the week, but she was gonna look and let you know.
Okay.
And then the Lusardis, you got
Yes.
theirs.
She's,
Yes.
Holly's actually the one that's coordinating the days of who's putting it up and down and when.
Okay,
But most people have been great. If we haven't taken it down and they want to get to the water, they just take the gap, move it over, go in. I've had no complaints. There is poop on Third Beach now.
Oh, yeah.
I did the water
I see them
testing this
there
morning.
almost every night.
I picked it up the other day.
It was disgusting this morning. I was brushing it's mixed in with leaves. It's
Yeah.
all the way over
You'll probably see them on our way home tonight.
by the
Well,
cot. And we knew this was gonna happen.
We told the Third Beach community and
We actually are
They
making.
they
an
wanted the
executive-
ropes,
They
right?
wanted the ropes.
They wanted the ropes.
I
We
feel
tried
strong-
to tell them that they've got nowhere, they're gonna go here now because they can't go anywhere else.
So are you recommending we go ahead and put the fence up?
We're
I am-
gonna buy them fence.
Yeah, we are buying fence and we're gonna put it up and hopefully people will continue to maintain it because there's no place else for them to go.
Right,
So
right.
they have now found their opening.
Well,
But I think it's a health issue for
It is.
the community down
It
there, and I
is.
think they need to be protected as much as
and
everybody
and
else.
that's fine as long as we communicate it. We have to find a way to make sure that we communicate it. What's going on and why. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think that, and the rationale is good.
Yeah.
I just think that we need to clearly communicate.
Email blast.
Yeah.
Do I do
how-
email blast or do
Yeah,
I do
newsletters.
newsletter?
The newsletter.
So-
Okay.
I just want to make a comment about the email blast. So the original email blast that went out about the fences said that they were going to be down during the day from May 24th on.
Right, it is becoming kind of like a work in progress because we're looking to see when the beaches are occupied. Because if we take them down too early and there's nobody on the beaches, we've been leaving them up, or especially on bad weather days. We
The
don't-
better weather
Okay.
days, the better.
I just, in case somebody questions me,
Yeah, but so far, everybody, because if I go down and I see somebody on the beach and the fence is like, they might have moved it, and I'll ask, it's like, would you like me to move it over? It's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's like, I'll put it back. So I haven't had anybody have negative feedback about it. I think they're appreciative of the beaches being cleaner, but we're trying to sort of feel it out. I mean, ideally, it'd be great if it's the first person who arrives on the beach, they move it over, and it doesn't, like, First Beach is the biggest one, so and that's where I have the most volunteers, so they've been.
right. And I can tell you, Holly, I haven't gotten any complaints personally
Yeah.
yet. So,
So up until the other day, Gail Kincaid was doing it by herself.
Yeah.
Putting it up, taking it down in the morning, putting it up at night.
Yeah.
And it's,
Wow.
Second Beach is not, it's easier than First.
The
It's a
reason-
lot smaller.
The reason that I ask is because Julia did ask and
I
they
know.
did give us feedback as to what they wanted.
They wanted to shrink.
So if we're
But
going
they also haven't
to.
experienced what they're experiencing now, I'm sure.
It's-
Well, I heard that you weren't really getting.
They said they never got geese down there before. So
Last year.
Oh, last year I picked up a barrel of this stuff. Okay.
I've seen them do limbo under that string. It doesn't work.
I'm just saying
I know.
that we asked and that's what, that they said that this is what they wanted. And if we're going to change that, we need to communicate that it's changing and
We know.
why.
How do you want us
Because
to
we don't want it
communicate?
damaged.
I will do it. I'll do it in the
I think in
newsletter.
a newsletter.
And
You're
just say
right.
it's like for health and safety reasons for all our community, we do not feel it's safe to have people playing on these beaches.
See, and that's
So-
fair.
Yeah, those mounds that are left there, like I know it was raped, but then they left them there.
Yeah.
we can do an email blast with a, for Third Beach folks, with a poll. We can ask them, do you want the string or do you want the,
I
We
don't
already-
want to ask them.
We already asked them.
I
They
don't
want
think
the string.
I don't think
They-
it's really
They're the ones,
safe
they,
But I don't, yeah, I agree.
Well, does that,
so,
They didn't,
so,
I don't think they
all right, wait a
realized.
minute. So, but Holly's saying she's going to put it up.
And we're saying, and Dave is recommending she puts it up, but before she puts it up, you communicate to the
Let them
Third
know
Beach
why.
community
Right.
why we're doing this, because it's become, they're all going to Third Beach.
Because what I think would be beneficial is if we do put it up and they see, oh, it's really clean.
Right.
Because I think other people maybe had doubts about First and Second
That's
Beach
it.
until they experienced it. And
Mhm.
like you said, Dave
See that when you
is
close your
appreciative.
eyes.
I have a question. Are people at Third Beach complaining about the poop?
no.
No, but
Except
they're
that
not picking it up.
But they did complain about the stuff that was raked up and there's kind of poop among it. But there's a lot there now.
That's just one picture. It's just one little part of the beach.
But I would think the health department would have an issue. You know?
So what if, they elected to just have the string?
Which they did.
So now they're gonna have to have a choice to give us a schedule of who's gonna pick up when, or we can put up the fence for them, I don't know if that's a little too.
Well, I agree. I think it should be their responsibility to figure out who wants to clean the beach, and and we should have them do that. And if they don't, then we just put the fence up. I mean, in one way, there is a health risk that's a very valid concern for us as an association, but in the other way, it's their community and it's what they've wanted. So you can't. What's that?
Let's be honest here. All right, this isn't their own little tribe. if we feel it's like Holly said, it's in the best interest and health, we put it up, whether they like it or
Like
not.
say a kid
But-
does get sick, would they go after the association even though they've made?
That's what I'm saying.
Julia and Dave are the Third Beach reps.
Right.
So I think you need to go through Julia and Dave and make sure that they're gonna be fine with it.
So do you have communication with people down there? I don't have any connection.
Some, I mean, most of the people that live on the other side of the street
Right.
use Third Beach. And there's more up on Wildwood and those streets up there that come down and use Third Beach. I don't communicate with them as
I haven't
much.
seen a lot of activity people wise on the
They're
beach
terrible.
so far.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
I know.
I know it's
Dave.
been lousy weekends.
Do you think of how, if we were to explain? I mean, we've given them the choice, they don't want it, but now, are we saying as a board, we are saying we have to implement it?
How about
I
if
feel
they
you
come
do.
to try it?
I feel
Well,
you.
if,
Well, it was there once already. The fence was there.
They
Okay, and the fence actually did get crushed by
Leaves and the
like
grass.
something. I don't remember. what it was.
Let's not forget that these beaches were closed way before most of you were down when they had the E. coli incident. You've been here for a while, so I've been here for 30 years. They closed the whole beach for about a week and had an E. coli incident. So let's stop the sovereign nation part about Third Beach and let's just go for the safety and go back to the fence, the grease fence.
I don't agree. I think Dave and Julia need to
Well,
handle
yeah,
it.
we'll give them that. Here's your choice. This is what we're going to do. We're just going to let you know.
and oh, by the way, somebody has to clean it up.
Right.
Well, the raker does once a day, but it's,
But somebody has to put it in a barrel and get rid of it though.
Unless there are
no,
new piles every day.
no.
Oh.
Okay, so the people at Third Beach, all of the wind blows north to south, majority of the time. All of the leaves and debris end up at Third Beach.
Okay.
Scott and I were down there 4 days ago. We picked up all the piles,
Oh, yeah.
and that day they raked again and the piles are back.
Oh, geez.
So that's what they do down there because leeches live in those leaves. It's nasty. They rake all that out so they have a nice area to go into the water. And they don't immediately remove it because you need to let the water drain out of it because it's water logged leaves
Gotcha.
and organic debris. So they make their piles, they let them dry out, and then they remove them. So those are new piles because we
Gotcha.
just removed them.
So let me ask you then, with that being their issue,
Maybe that's
We
why they
can-
don't want the fence there.
well,
because
we
you can't
can put
rake
the
through it.
fence maybe slightly inside. I mean, normally you ideally want it at the water line so that geese don't find a place to roost. They like a place to hang out and they'll find that little ledge. But since they have that particular issue, at least it's less of the beach that's getting stuff.
But this is still gonna have
Still
snow,
have
it's
the
still
leaves.
gonna have the,
I
it's
know.
still gonna have poop there. I don't know, Dave, what do you, whatever. I think,
You won't have the poop. You'll have the leaves,
Yeah.
You'll have the leaves.
but you won't have the poop.
The fencing, even if you put it inboard, the leaves come from the water.
Very,
in.
no,
So-
I know. Well, like,
so
we
that
were
fence
we were
will have
cleaning all
to
the
be
fence.
removed and cleaned and then put
Yeah.
back.
The
During
poop is
that- during
going
that
all the
work
way
day,
up to
we
the
were
kayak wrecks.
Yeah.
pardon me,
The poop is all the way up. They're going all
to-
the way
on
up.
the northwest side?
Yeah, by the dock that goes this
Yep,
way to the
yep,
shore.
yeah.
Yeah, they're going, so even
So
block off some of it.
do you two think that that you present to the Third Beach people again?
I think that there's not a forum to present the Third Beach
Right.
people, other than walking along the beach on a sunny day and talking about goose poop and fences, okay? Which is kind of not what I'm going to do, okay? If we want to communicate it and then ask for feedback and give them a time frame as to what we're going to do and ask for feedback, then I think that would be legitimate, okay? Or else we just do it and see if we get feedback.
Personally, I'm
I'm
thinking
fine with either.
you and Julia to decide how you want to do it.
An email blast with them to respond with their opinion?
We had a last minute meeting last week. You know, we only gave them like 5 or 6 days notice and we had quite a few people show up.
We had a meeting last year and we sat there for an entire day and we met with 4 people.
Oh,
Mm.
Don't forget, there's not as many down this end of the lake there's not as many. Sorry?
We were a little bit more fortunate with the numbers that we had.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of cottages down here, really. Or, you know, there's
But
not.
I'll let you guys decide what you want us to do, but I think that we're gonna go ahead and order the fence because we do still
I
have
thought
some
we
money
had
left.
some.
Yeah, we do.
We
Yeah.
only had one section, not
Yeah,
enough to cover
50.
the whole beach.
We have a 50-foot.
We ended up using portion of it to cover the boat launch, which was helpful
Okay.
because the geese were coming up there too, but we will buy some, so at least it'll be in our hands.
I'm not opposed to it. It's just, you know, we asked, they shared what they wanted, and now we're reversing course, which we've tried and it didn't seem to work. Okay, fine. So either we do it and we ask for feedback, communicate and ask for feedback, or we say we're going to do it and ask for feedback before we do it. I don't care which way we go.
I agree, Dave. I think if we ask for the feedback, but explain that it's a health hazard and that we as an association are concerned for the health and safety of the citizens and it's the poop, we understand that there's a leaf issue. How can we work with you to mitigate this issue? But I think if we ask them for feedback, that's the right. I think that's the right approach.
Nancy.
The thing I had to add is only tangentially involved. A few months back, I suggested that we give specific information to the entire community about the brand of fence, the costs, so that people who have private property would know what to purchase, or if we purchase in bulk, you know, let's say you purchase it, but they're still saying no way. You know, there might be private people who have waterfront property who want to buy it for a piece for their own property. You know,
I've
at
provided
least give that
information
information in
a
the
bunch of
newsletter or
Well,
something.
she's giving out, actually, I'd asked for an email blast, but I didn't hear back.
I've done
so-
that to a bunch of people.
Okay.
Yeah,
Look, Holly and Ev gave me the information and I sent it out to a
Mhm.
bunch.
It's not
I didn't send it to you
expensive.
guys, but, you know,
it's not inexpensive, but it's not, it's worth it. to
Pretty
me.
inexpensive for what you
Then pick it
get.
up.
It's gonna be in the newsletter this week.
Okay.
Blast.
Oh, it
About the
will.
fence, yeah.
Okay. So,
We try not to put email blasts on top of email
Yeah,
blasts,
it's
'cause
newsletter.
then everybody gets like,
Yeah, no, I didn't see other email blasts at the time when I was writing it, so I apologize if the timing was bad.
no,
Why don't we mention something on Sunday?
That's
at the June meeting.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to get public comment, so how do
Well,
we?
we can make an announcement and we can open it up and all the reps, you know, can field questions.
During the meeting?
We can address all the questions to Evelyn's email. That would be awesome.
No, it goes to Geese now. Geese has-
We have real dogs.
You're giving her,
The fake dog is, we have the real dogs.
I saw that fake dog.
Yeah.
I thought it was real.
Yeah, no, it's not. We have real ones there tonight. I'm afraid they're gonna rip the place apart.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
So anyways, if we mention it, if we just say, look, this came up in our board meeting on, you know, this is something that we need to solicit feedback. I think it's the perfect forum to say it. Now, we can't get the feedback that day because they can't speak. It's not open for public comment, but they can email us.
You know what? We'll make a tag and tell them at the end of the meeting, say yay or nay, on a tag. No?
Not
So-
enough motion, or at that meeting, I rather have personally, I rather have an email blast with,
With the poll?
Yeah.
Okay. Settled. That's what we're gonna do. Okay.
Okay,
Oh, let's move on.
let's move on.
pieces not done.
Yes, geese are never done.
No, that part of these is done.
Yeah, part of geese then. So we have an updated waiver, signed, approved, corrected. Can I make copies and have them available for the meeting?
Yeah, if it's the original.
Yes,
if you, yeah.
the one that we,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's signed. I think I put it on the drive.
Yep.
The MOU, did anybody have it?
Did you guys get that?
We did get it.
I got it. I read it.
thoughts?
I sent you a little bit of feedback and I thought it was fine.
Okay.
There's a few things that grammatically need to be corrected.
Okay.
Like there's dollar signs missing in a couple of places and just a few grammatical things that nitpicking,
And
sorry.
you included those. the
I did
fixes.
not, I did
Oh,
not highlight the errors.
Okay. I'll look at it.
So
I'll look at
Gail
it.
Kincaid, I have to say, Gail Kincaid put a lot of work into this.
yes, she did. So I know we talked about this, a couple board meetings ago, maybe. And what we actually wanted was a contract, but that wasn't something that we got. Personally, this works for Lisa, the treasurer, and I think it works for the budget committee very well. I think it gives them a guideline to see what the ask is, but I don't think it's a contract that we should sign.
It's not a contract, Evelyn. It's
She
a
doesn't do-
memorandum of, I understand.
She doesn't do
If she's
that.
not, then we don't sign one. We don't sign a memorandum of understanding, which means we're working on a contract.
I think it's just great for the budget committee. I mean, Nancy,
Yeah, I mean, but it's clearly not a contract and it doesn't give us what we're supposed to have, which is a contract.
right. Well,
So how would you like the contract to read, since there is like margins of error, like,
You can put a not to exceed clause in there.
because, I mean, it may end up being very well less than that. Or,
You could put a not to exceed clause in there. Like not to exceed $5,000 or whatever.
whatever our budget, yeah.
Julia,
Didn't we agree as a board that all we needed was a fee schedule? And I think there's a fee schedule
There
in
is.
there. And that's what we need. It says X, she's guaranteeing X amount per hour or X amount per egg replacement, whatever.
Right.
Then it's up to the fees committee to go to the budget committee with how many times visits. I saw your visits. I personally think there are maybe too many visits, but that's just me. And that
So
would
that's
be-
why we wrote up to. We don't
Right.
necessarily expect that it's gonna
understand.
be all of those visits.
But that will be the dollar amount that you're asking for. So that will be
Right.
something you go to the budget committee and you defend.
Right.
And then, of course, to the membership to defend. What we need as a board is that fee schedule, because that's what our obligation is. We have to have, and that's all we needed. And that's what we told you guys.
So is that fee schedule
That's smart.
sufficient or is it not sufficient?
I think it's, in my opinion, I mean, if we're not gonna, because you've already told us she's not gonna do a contract. And then we agreed as a board, well, we need something to understand what her fees
Oh, I
are.
remember it.
Yeah,
So
So-
I thought if we had a fee schedule, then that met
were
the
done,
minimum
yeah.
criteria that we were asking for as a board.
And then it's up to whoever's chairing the geese committee to make sure that all the expenses are underneath, within line and don't exceed.
but this is really for the budget committee to peruse. I mean, that's what they do. The budget committee
And
will
a
say,
memorandum of
why are
understanding
you,
is a vehicle
why are
in which
you having this
have
many visits and-
negotiations and a
For
final
the annual
contract, and
cost.
she's not
Right.
signing a contract, so
so,
that's not what we need.
I never said she wouldn't sign a contract.
Yes, you
You
did.
said
No,
no,
I-
doesn't do them.
She doesn't,
Have one and she doesn't want
She
to spend the, right. So-
and she didn't want to spend the money to go to an attorney
Well,
to have a
that doesn't
contract
help,
created.
but that doesn't help us because when you sign that, you think that you are working towards a contract and we are not. We said we would be fine with the fee schedule, which is in there, and that's all we need as a board is the fee schedule.
So you're okay with not having a contract if we have the fee schedule? Is
I
that,
think that's what the board agreed to, but
Yeah, I mean, it has,
But again,
it has to stand at $5,000.
Yeah,
right.
it has
Of
to,
course.
yeah.
Because that's the bylaw.
Right.
At $5,000, you have to have a contract. You have
So I
to
think
have-
that answers your question.
So do we have what we need?
For MOU to do whatever you want with the budget committee.
Fee schedule is
this is more
sufficient.
just to kind of delineate out.
Okay.
This is under 5,000 anyway.
right. And I think
Right, keep it simple.
Just fix,
I'm sorry.
You're right. A fee schedule is sufficient. And by the way, it's under $5,000,
Yes,
so it suffices.
that's right. And this, like I said, going to the budget committee with actual meat,
Mhm.
gives them something to work with
Mhm.
instead of just saying, I need 5,000 because.
Right.
So what do you think, Nancy?
We already,
Right?
we
You do-
already
we
met.
met.
Okay, okay. Oh, that's right. You did meet.
Dave, you said something, but I missed it. I mean, sorry, Craig.
Craig? Did you say something?
No, I just asked if we have what we need. That's all I asked.
I think so.
And I think we do. So that's all I wanted to know.
Okay,
Thank you.
Welcome.
are we good with
Yeah,
geese?
Jeff said we're good, we're good.
We're good with the goose.
We're good, we're good with the goose?
What about the gander?
Okay, all right.
I'm not getting arrested.
Okay, time check. It's 8:26 and we got a lot to talk about. So,
So I thought we were doing okay.
okay, everybody's good with geese?
Yeah.
Moving on. Are you good, Holly?
The only other thing is Evelyn was able to get us a tax exempt,
For the fencing.
for the fencing.
Oh,
So,
good,
yeah,
good,
that all worked out.
perfect. Okay, so just to quickly talk about the June Association meeting, Julia and I were talking about, how it's a mob at check-in, that we usually do it in the corner there. So I know, Chris, I think you put it on Team Reach, right? The setup.
I did.
So,
So we want to do that.
so what we're thinking about is
We need to
if we
change it?
put a pop-up on the beach away from the pavilion, it stops that major congestion right there. And then we'll put a little sign that says registration that way or something.
Check-in.
So we want to set up a pop-up.
Will you be there that morning to tell us where to put it?
I will. But I'd like to go ahead of time and with you and see, I don't know Lori's vision, but I'll be there. But
Okay.
Lori, you can show me where you
I
want.
thought,
Okay.
I thought we said 9 o'clock.
We did.
That's not gonna, I don't think that's gonna be.
Enough time.
Mm-mm.
To set up a pop-up?
We were,
No, to set up the whole,
Craig's doing the sound system.
Yeah,
Right.
the last couple times last year, we had it all set up by 9:30,
Yeah, I think 9 o'clock is fine.
even with the pop-up.
yeah,
Scott and I will be there, so if,
We have 4 people that.
I'll be
volunteer.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 4 people.
I'll be
Actually,
there too.
it's Gary Peterson, Lynn Christie, Craig, and me,
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll put it down.
and Jeff.
What's the team reach?
9 o'clock.
No, I know what team reach is. What's the,
So that's the-
Hula 214. Oh, the event?
Yes, 9 to 9:30.
no. No.
For the
Sorry,
code.
the window. Yeah.
Okay.
Hula 214.
Julia,
so you would
Okay.
need to come and show us what your vision
code.
is.
Yeah.
You know, before,
I can show you, we can just get there anytime.
I'm sorry to say, vision, we're just setting up a tent with a
Oh,
table
here's-
underneath it, right?
Yeah, just where she wants
What's
it, Craig,
the
is all.
Oh,
Is
all right.
With the big mural.
In the tennis courts.
So really that's it. And then pavilion prep. Julia and I were talking about, in case there's stuff on the floor or whatever.
I'm gonna ask Mary Otis if she can go down with me and we'll scrub the
Maybe we put it on Team Reach
yeah,
and try to get some other people to
right.
volunteer.
maybe for that, what, Friday? Well, see, then Saturday, I don't know. It's like, you got people that are gonna be there Saturday.
What
Messing
do you
it
need
up.
help with?
Well, it will to your point, a real cleaning of the, wipe, just brush down and hose off all the picnic tables. I usually brush them off with the broom.
I'll come down and help you.
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna do that early Sunday morning? No, I don't think, I think you have to do it Saturday, but then people could make it messy, so I don't know if it really matters.
Isn't there a
I
band?
think we're overthinking it.
There's a band Saturday.
Yeah,
night,
you
right?
wanted to.
Oh, that's gonna be messy. Well,
Let's
No,
string up-
clean up afterwards.
Okay,
You're supposed to.
so I think we're good, right?
Yeah.
I'll show Julia or whoever.
We're good. We'll get it done.
And then if we funnel people,
Do you want me to change it to 8:45?
whatever you want.
Almost
I'll
there.
change it to 8:45.
No, we can just show up early and let the rest.
It's 9 o'clock is fine, guys.
It is.
All right.
Fine.
Okay.
okay. All right, thank you. Whew. So, new business. Unless anybody has anything else about the June meeting? Okay.
Just one question started.
Yep.
How much are we going to share regarding the progress relative to the dam.
So let's talk about that, Dave. After,
Oh, all right.
um, so the July 13th town hall, is when we want to share a lot of information, but we'll talk about the dam will be July 13th focused, but it's also the budget committee. And any other issues that people in the town have. It's a very loose meeting. So whoever's going to be in town would be nice. And Dave, I think we tried to plan that so that you were here because it's going to be damn questions. Or we suspect it will be. And we'll kind of advertise for that. Maybe I'll put a blast out or something, or we'll put it in the newsletter. Okay. Anything else on the town hall? Okay. RFP for waste management contract.
It's gonna bring it in September.
We need to go out to bid.
But I was gonna bring that up. I was wondering if we wanted to go. I think we need to wait. So it renews in September, right?
No, I think
September of 26, it's done.
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
I
So
can print it out.
I think if we start in September of 25, that's adequate.
Okay.
This is just my personal opinion based on what happened in the last cycle. I don't believe we're going to find a lot of people that are interested in that work.
Right.
Simply because of our needs.
Okay. So this is another one I have to go to the budget committee with.
Just one other thought related to that. I think that based on what we did in the last time when we renewed the contract, that there's some burden on AWC or whatever they call themselves to control their costs.
Agreed. I mean, they got a good bump.
Yeah.
Really good bump.
I mean, like there was not adequate lead time in the last one. And I mean, it was priced as if there was year-round usage from everyone here, and there's not. And I mean, we could have some real heart-to-heart conversations about what they're actually servicing and what those costs are worth.
But keep in mind, we only have one guy here.
Yeah, and I get it.
You know, you can bluff you so much.
No, it's not a bluff. It's
Well,
it's
you can have as much heart to heart as you want, but you only got one ace of the hole.
we went from 46,000 to 64,000,
Right.
and he wanted 84,000. Okay, but we reduced it from 2 times a week to 1 time a week based on 451 houses. But there are not 451 year-round houses here.
Right.
There are 120 something year-round houses.
He still holds the truck card. Let's keep that in mind. Because if you can't come to an agreement, then what's the second alternative?
The other alternative is we drop that service and let everybody
Take care of their own.
take care of their own.
Which would make
Isn't really an alternative.
that
Right.
So,
It's I mean,
You have
if
one-
you
you have one
think about
choice.
it, if you no, I don't know.
of course you do, Dave. And I'm not saying we have to cave to the gentleman because he's a great guy. I think everything is fine, except that let's just know going in, there's only one guy. So-
But that doesn't mean you still can't have a conversation with them.
Oh, sure, I have a lot of conversations, but just no going in, what's the realm of the conversation going to go? So,
So September,
I think I was going to bring it up in the September meeting because I think that's the appropriate time to start that. Because right now we have a lot of other things that we're
We do.
trying to get through, you know, and we may or may not come up with the referendum on the DM in between now and then. So if we bring up too many subjects, we're going to confuse people.
I know. So I will use my best judgment at the budget committee.
mhm.
Well, it would, you know, it's into the following.
Dave, in your opinion, do you think the 64,000 is going to be roughly 64,000 for next year?
No, he's 70,
Yeah, we're going up
he's already going up.
70.
Okay, but I'm just thinking, he's not going to 84.
No,
He's
No.
going to go up
we
a
know what
little bit, but not to the
would-
84 mark.
you'd have to develop, to my mind, and I've done
Also,
a few sole source negotiations. You have to develop a strategy that's fair and reasonable, and then have some honest conversations. That's all it is, really.
It is, but it's tough when you're the only guy in town, because I do sole source all the time. And it's very difficult when you have a sole source. I know this is trash collecting, but
Doesn't matter.
I think people would be
Right.
pretty disappointed if we say that they have to bring their trash to the dump.
well, and that wouldn't work anyways, because we'd have animals everywhere. People would leave their trash. It would be a
Right.
mess.
And that's what Jeff is saying.
Right, it would be a
And I
mess.
agree. So we just need to, we could have
You
all
ask
the
Stephanie
conversations,
what the
but we want to
alternatives
keep it
were.
cordial.
I mean, that is
We want to keep the conversation
He
cordial.
doesn't want to lose the business either, though.
Right, he's got a good thing going on here. So he's up to 73,000, which was almost 30,000 more, with the big jump.
Right.
Um,
And
so,
that's probably fair and reasonable.
right,
And, maybe we should budget it that way, but that doesn't mean, that's public. I don't know.
well, all right, so we'll talk about it again in the September meeting. Okay, the newsletter, I just wanted to mention that, Janice Bryden, is doing the prettying up. And Gary Cohen is still, the editor, or he formulates the, newsletter based on what we feed him. And then Janice cleans it up. Okay, so the last subject for new business that I have isn't on the agenda. However, it's important and we need to discuss it before the June meeting. So it's about the rental committee. I think I copied the board. I'm sorry, I don't remember if I did or not. I sent an email out to the rental committee members. I printed that one, Julia. I printed fixed. Oh, here it is. Okay. Did I copy everybody? No. All right. So I sent a letter out to the rental committee asking them to draft something with the diligence that they had through the winter to present at the June meeting, because, the community called for a special meeting. We owe them the community back. So Adam, we were originally waiting for this bill to pass. Well, the bill didn't pass, but the verbiage that was in that bill did get put into another statute. It doesn't include taxing districts, only municipalities. So none of that pertains to us. So this is what Adam said. He said, and my position, I think everybody knows, I'm neutral. But I have to ask, what can we do based on our charter? Because that's what the membership wanted. And so this is what Adam said. Hi, Lori. Since we last corresponded on this, the new law was codified in a part of the statutes, and he lists the statute, which clearly applies only to towns, cities, boroughs, not to districts. So Poola's power to regulate leases remains limited. You'll only be able to regulate them as permitted by Section 8 of your state charter. It has a few potentially relevant clauses which empower you to pass ordinances to regulate roadways, parking, outdoor noise, and garbage. It also allows you to maintain beaches, prohibit running a business, and do what other districts can do, which by statute similarly include control over roads and amenities. I believe page 1 of the draft, which I think you all saw the draft that the rental committee first came out with all their ordinances. And that's why we were trying to coordinate that with updating the rules and regs. So I believe page 1 of the draft you've created would be held illegal if someone sued over it. Pula simply does not have the power to control leases like a condominium or a town could. For example, you could not impose a minimum rental period, registration requirement, occupant age or maximum, or registration fee. Adopting a minimum rental age would also violate federal law. I am confident that you can, and they put stars in there, adopt the rules you've listed on page 2, since those things, garbage, parking, noise, are all explicitly authorized by your charter. Fortunately, I think we can accomplish many of your goals, which they're not really my goals. Since you're legally authorized to prohibit the carrying on of any business, I think it would be perfectly defensible to adopt something like this. Any property which is rented to different occupants more than 3 times in any 12-month period shall be considered a business, which is hereby prohibited. We can tinker with the specifics if you like. So I presented that to the rental committee. Well, I never heard back from the chair, John, so I called him today. And so I sent that May 29th. And he said that he didn't agree with Adam. And that renting long-term is the same thing as renting short-term, and he doesn't agree with the verbiage. And I said, well, this is from our attorney. I said, and it's not up to the committee to decide.
Right.
It's up to the committee to come up with options to present to the membership to decide what they want to do. Yes, will this cause legal fees? Which is why I said we're going to talk about legal fees. Will this cause our legal fees to go up? Yeah, because the right out of the gate, the one person that was on the rental committee that owns 3 homes, I guess, in John's words, she was furious. But that's not up to us. It's up to the membership. This is what our attorney has said we can do. So I told John, I'll talk to the board tonight and see how we want to proceed. The committee, he's lost 5 people or 6 people. They didn't want involvement anymore. And the only feedback he gave me was the one from the person that owns the 3 houses.
I have a question. Couldn't we piggyback on what the town of East Haddam can do?
They don't have any ordinance, and they won't. They've already told us that
Okay,
on STRs, short-term rentals.
okay.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Have we had any more issues since the ones from 2 summers ago?
I haven't heard any, but the bottom line is the community came together and petitioned a special meeting.
I understand all that. I was very active in that too, but I'm just curious if we had any more issues.
Not that I've heard, or not that have come to me anyway.
Okay.
Question, Lori, could that last part that Adam wrote, he said if you rent, how many times?
And he said you can come up with whatever number you want.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be 3, whatever. It was, his suggest. So I presented that to John. I said, you could say 6 times. I said, you can ask the membership. Do you want to do 6 times? Do you want to not do none? Do you want to let it fall?
And how would that be? Do we have any idea how we would document if someone is renting?
Well, I think
Because it said
clearly
we
the
can't
ones that are,
require registration.
I think clearly the ones that are on Airbnb are, if they're not renting more than 3 times a year, they're probably losing a lot of money. So
When I looked up stuff in the past, I can't remember it now, but the federal government defines anything less than 6 months as a short-term rental. So that's, I think the 3 times is consistent with that,
Right.
because 2 times would be
It wouldn't, no, two times would be infringing on people because sometimes they rent out for the summer or whatever.
So what if we presented to the community that after thorough investigation, including multiple legal consults, we've determined just that last part of what you
Yeah.
said.
Mm-hmm.
And if this community wants to do that, that's going to be a big change.
It
You
is.
know?
And not only that, the people that do own those, they will sue.
Right.
He says it's very defendable. He doesn't think there's any issue with
But
us.
it's expensive.
It's expensive, exactly.
Well, we were talking for quite a bit of money to defend something like that multiple times.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, but it needs to go back to the community, not the board.
Right.
The community is the one that brought it.
So we just need to explain the facts that there's multiple people here that do rent. If we come up with a limit of X number of times you're considered a business, those folks that own and invested in these houses as rental properties are likely to sue. So we'd be expecting
Legal fees.
so many occurrences of this, and the average occurrence is going to be X amount of dollars.
How do you track it then?
Well, that's what Lori was saying through Airbnb. There would be, for those, it's a little bit easier to
You're not
track
gonna be able to
than.
track it, you're not gonna be able to enforce it.
So we bring that up that would be difficult, and maybe we
Yeah,
get a
that was my
retainer fee
question.
quote and present that.
That was my question. How do you track it?
It's a good idea.
You can't track everything.
Well,
If it's, I'm renting to Dave.
I
and Dave wants-
Airbnb my cottage. for
Can you,
3
as
years.
part of the
I didn't use
requirements,
Airbnb though.
I
as
did
part
use
of,
Airbnb.
as, can we, as part of the association requirements, say that short-term rentals have to be registered with the board?
No, he said we can't do that.
Yeah, you already said no.
So there's no way of tracking it.
No, but I do think like, people that, I mean, let's put it this way, Dave, you know your neighbors, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just thinking, we lived in an HOA down south, and in the HOA, if I was to do a short-term rental, it had to be approved by the board in my HOA.
But it was a condo association,
No, it was
Oh,
an HOA,
homeowners?
yeah,
but not a taxing district.
not a taxing district.
That's the
They're
problem.
separate. They can set their rules.
That's the problem.
I Airbnb, I use Lake House Vacations, I use word of mouth. There's no way you could track who I was
Mhm.
renting to and for how long.
Yeah, you're right. We can't, there's no way to track.
I think
this.
it would
I
be,
rented to friends.
Just
I
like
think
one
it
of
would be
those
means-
things, how do we enforce people without a parking pass? It's gonna be nearly impossible.
I
to
think-
track who's renting and how many times. And
I think if people knew though, that was part of our bylaws, they wouldn't buy a house here to Airbnb or whatever, or to short-term rental. You know what I mean? But that's,
No.
I'm not,
I
I'm
think
not,
the legal fees would be a lot. The one particular person who has 3 properties and maybe she Airbnbs it and we have a way to track that one person. That's going to be her defense is you singled me out. You just want to try to get me to have to sell my
So-
properties at a loss. And I think we're going to be opening ourselves up, opening up a can of worms here.
I think if we go back, I'm sorry, nobody can see my hand raised, so I'm just gonna jump in. But it goes back to, are we having any issues with it? And the answer is we haven't heard any. And then the next question is, well, how many Airbnbs are there on the lake?
okay.
And there's only, and then there's, well, hold on a second, just there's only a few of them. Right. And so if we're not having any issues with them and the people who own them are good people and they're not causing any damage or harm or anything, then our job, as Lori said, is to present back to the community. So they've asked for a special meeting. They've asked for us to look into all this stuff. We have done that. We have a committee. Here's how expensive it's going to be if we go down this road of banning Airbnbs. And we just present the information and let the people decide because it's not our call. It's
That's right.
So like, yeah, go ahead.
Dave, Craig, sorry. I agree. I think we're saying the same thing. The one thing that we may want to add to that, because folks, I think, are going to agree that there hasn't been that many occurrences where this is a big problem. This is relatively a small problem with a few occurrences. But they may say, well, what about the next time it happens? What could the committee suggest for some remedies if there is a noise ordinance? Because I think there was some suggestions that we already have a town noise ordinance. If there is something like that, you call the police.
So
I think there's some things that the committee has done to address some of the
Right.
infrequent occurrences. That's all I was going to add to that, Craig.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the bylaws or the regulations or one of those things.
the rules and regs.
Yeah, like barking dogs and noise and everything.
Yeah, but we could bring it up.
So
We're answering the.
part of their
question.
draft that Adam mentions in here, and I did email it to everybody. Part of their draft has some of those regulations that he says are okay, and some of them we already have enforced. So yes, Chris, to your point, I think we
Highlight those.
highlight those, and I think we give them all the information. This is what we can do. How we would track it, don't know. I don't know. But this is what we know.
So are we going to suggest a solution? Because if we're just going to have a discussion with the community,
We're going to have a vote. So we'll tell them about it in June. And then in August, they vote yay or nay to invoke the business.
That's gonna get messy.
Yeah, I know.
Knowing that it's going to significantly increase
Yeah,
taxes.
no, they'll have all the facts. We'll put the facts bulleted. And they'll know going in.
I would recommend that we think about this a little bit, because if we're going to have a vote of that nature, I don't know if we get 50 people to show up at the pavilion, that's the kind of vote that we want to take. We may want to put this and document it in a lawyer letter so they know exactly what we're talking about, and do a registered mail
Better
to-
sampling.
to all 400 members, and then we require them to submit them in writing.
So a referendum.
Referendum.
Yeah.
I think it would, because if we're going talking about $30,000 or $40,000 in legal fees when 4 or 5 people sue us, and it's $10,000 an occurrence, and now we're asking people for $500 each for the 400 people that we have, they're going to say, I never agreed to that.
Mhm.
Right, right.
So I think we're going to have to do a referendum with everybody if that's where we're going to go.
I think we
I
need,
wonder if there's, I'm sorry. I wonder if there's a way to draw a line in the sand, just moving forward, have a rule in place, but keep what we have.
what kind of rule? You mean,
Well, I like, whatever options there are to prohibit this from happening. If there could be a grandfather clause that allows existing properties as of this date that are operating as Airbnbs are allowed to, but no more properties can. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe that's something for the committee, but it seems like the committee is just John now.
yeah, and John and pro Airbnb. So that's
Then the question,
Right.
how do you manage that though, Craig? We still have the struggles with how do you manage that?
Well, I think the way you manage it is you just know that, you can go, I'm on Airbnb right now and I see 2 houses on the lake.
Mhm.
And so,
If
somebody has to police it. Once a month, you go look for Airbnb listings on Lake Hayward. And if you see somebody's breaking the rules, then that's got to be written in whatever the membership agrees on. But I'm just saying that this is a way potentially to not alienate the people who are here, grandfather them in, and then I'm just throwing it out there for the record.
we would still
Right.
do a referendum on that though, Craig. I don't think that we do that at this meeting.
Right. I don't
they
disagree.
want to do a mailing. You think a mailing referendum?
So could we first find out though, if that clause if that's feasible with an attorney, you know?
And I'm almost thinking that's gonna make things really messy.
Right, so, I mean.
I
if
will-
it's
I will ask
feasible or
Adam.
not, you know, let's not discuss that with the larger membership until we know it really is feasible.
Yeah, and not only that, I think that if you send out a referendum, that you have to send out a comprehensive document
Right.
that says, this is what we're looking to do. This is what the solutions will be. This is how it will be enforced, because we've got a ton of stuff right now that we don't enforce any of it.
Right.
Okay, and why put something else on the books?
Something else on the platter.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I would vote no. Oh, I would vote no for sure. You know,
I have to be very neutral. I can't tell you what I'm voting.
I would vote no because, yeah, I mean.
But we have to give them a means to voice.
And that's fine. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's not enforceable.
Or maybe we just take a vote at this meeting to see, do we want to do a referendum? Is it even worthwhile that we do a referendum?
So are you saying present to the membership and then ask if they want a referendum? So if we present, we're basically causing the stir anyway. So,
Just the 50 people that might be there.
That's all.
Well, we're asking them, but they're not allowed to speak, right?
no, there's no speaking at the June
In
meeting.
June, I have no problem with causing a stir. Because I mean, a stir gets people involved, and the more people that are involved, then you build.
That dam meeting
Yeah.
was 140, 150 people.
Right, I'll never forget it.
You're like,
But I think too, the stir is already there. I think the stir is already there. And I think, I'm trying to take notes too, based on what you were reading, Lori. And for me, I would be curious to see what the lawyer would suggest that we do. I do think at the June meeting, we need to say, you presented this to us. This is what we found out. And at least from an informational standpoint, but at some point, I think Dave said that we have to get to some kind of a resolution for the association. So whatever that looks like, I don't know, but you know, what does the lawyer recommend that resolution be so that we are not sued or we don't put ourselves in a position trying to meet the association's wants.
well, if we do this, or if we did something of this nature, that this was the only option he gave. And he, clearly said it's defendable because we would have to, he knows that it would go to court. So I can ask him to follow up on a few more questions. I think we just need to decide. I don't think we go halfway and present it at June. And I know you're saying there's,
ready to present it in June.
don't,
I don't think you're ready.
yeah,
You
I don't
have
need,
the
I don't need this, right.
And I mean, rough order, if you could also ask rough order of magnitude, what litigation would cost? Because I think 10,000 is light.
I do too.
I agree.
Yeah, I
Oh.
was thinking
Yes,
40
real
per.
life.
Yeah.
It's like-
I think it is too.
So if it's not presented, I do think that there needs to be some kind of a line item in the agenda to say we are still looking into this. Just to let the association know that we haven't forgotten it. There is a committee that's formed. We've contacted the lawyer. There's still information that we're gathering and we will get back to you.
Or they could review these meeting minutes. to know that they're talking
Right.
about.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, this is what we're here for.
Right.
So,
I'm just saying, there's 2 houses that are Airbnb, that are listed on Airbnb right now. 2.
yeah,
Well, the point is, it's not
But there's
20.
also Verbo too. I mean, there's other,
I'm going to Verbo too, but usually they're cross-listed.
yeah.
And anyways, I'm just
I understand what
throwing
you're
that out there.
saying, but unfortunately that doesn't matter.
Just saying it.
I mean, there was,
I care.
I think there was
Thank you.
120 signatures on that petition.
I'm kind
But
of.
that was right after, I'm sorry to interrupt, that was right after people were pissed off because there was people on the roof. That
Hold on,
house,
wait. Chris was talking. Hold on. I can't. I get 2 ears, but I can only hear.
Craig, are you finished? Or you want to go?
no, you can go. I'll say what I had to say after.
I like what Dave just said is that we provide an update at this June. I don't think we're in a position to discuss the details. I think we need to do some more work to discuss the details. But Laura, you did say one thing that I just wanted to make a note on. I'm not convinced at this point that we have to put it up to a vote. We could just provide a status on what we know. And I don't know if we have to actually go out for a referendum and put it up for a vote for all 400 ULA members at this time. I don't know if it's in the best interest to spend the money to document, here's what we found out, here's what we did. There might be a better way to manage this, or a different
All right,
way to
well,
manage this.
I think we put some good effort into talking about it. It was important to bring it up, and obviously we have to address it. I don't know that, you know, John is comfortable with any of it. So, you know, I can reach back out to Adam and do some more fact finding.
Perhaps ask Adam how we would present this to our members of here's what the law would, here's what he could defend, and here's what we would expect. We would expect lawsuits,
And he knows that.
and the order of magnitude. So, I mean, like Dave, I said 10,000 an occurrence. I just threw that out there. It may be
I guess
50,000.
it's $400 an hour. That would be, that's where I
Yeah,
would peg it. right now.
$400 an hour. We have to understand, you know, what the magnitude is.
I think he's 450 now, dear.
450.
So, yeah, so maybe it's $20,000 every time we get sued. I don't know. But I think that the members, before we would want to even put it up to a vote, if they just get squashed right away where, hey, we're managing this. If someone is too loud, we're calling the police. If someone's leaving their trash out, one of us is going to those folks and saying, hey, you need to do a better job with your trash. And the things that we can control, we are controlling.
So the genesis of this is one individual that owns 3 units that they're renting on Airbnb. Is that the?
I think she owns 2 now. I don't think the one on Ridgewood is an Airbnb anymore. I think it's a long-term.
And has anybody had any discussions with this person?
I did.
She was very active. She was very active in the committee. She's the one that drafted all the rules and regulations.
Okay.
So, which we cannot.
But she
Right.
doesn't police her own properties.
I
No,
think she
the
does.
Genesis was a different property that had more difficulties.
That was on, Laurel Lane.
The one that was on Laurel Lane was the one that had the kids on the roof and the kids walking into the neighbor's house. And that one is now owned by I believe a young woman, and I think it's a single mom and a child that live there. So it's not an Airbnb anymore.
And Chris, your friend on the town road had one that was a problem too for the neighbor, for Mary Ann and her family.
Right, and that's been
Yeah,
addressed.
that's been
All
addressed
that-
too, so
that was
that-
addressed immediately.
And the one that, and I know the one who owns the 3, I met her, probably 2 years ago now at First Beach, and she was telling me of an issue that she had with a tenant and mitigated the issue with that tenant and got him out that day. So, but I don't think, going back to what Lori said before about, 125 signatures, that was when people were jumping off roofs and walking into strangers' houses. And that hasn't happened.
Historically, what I've seen in communities is that somebody's violating the rules and regulations, not the new ones we're talking about, but the existing ones, a lot of which do pertain to this. You send them off a registered letter that says you've been noted as violating. This is your first notification, and then you follow due diligence on
Right.
that.
We could fine them. We can fine them $100.
That's it.
Yeah, or an offense, I think, Dave.
just
Sure.
a time check, it's 9:05. So how are we going to handle this? We have to present back to the membership, but we're not ready. So the committee has to continue their work, right?
Whatever you want. I know how I'd vote on this.
So you mentioned that the committee wasn't really active or there weren't people on it anymore.
Correct.
Kind of
So
defunct.
one
Always
way to
provided
handle it in June could be that the committee had done a lot of work. It's not complete. If anyone's interested in being on the committee, let me know.
Right.
You know,
Because it looks like you have a committee of one.
right,
No,
so
he's got a couple. He's got a
oh,
couple
okay. I didn't
people.
know if they were looking for, that way you're just kind of
But-
saying,
but-
it's still going on.
But now one of them responded to me, not one of them. And John said he called them. And then,
I know one committee member told me tonight that they were not coming specifically
to the
retreat.
meeting,
to this meeting.
Well, they weren't required to come to this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't required.
No,
Yeah.
no.
why were,
I don't
So
know.
wait a minute. So why doesn't, so the committee has to do the job. So the board, started the committee has to finish their work. So there's nothing really else to talk about.
the committee's refusing to do the work.
Okay, so if the committee's refusing to do the work, then as a board, we could say we had a committee, they fizzled, like we did our job.
And this is the update from the attorney. We can-
This is the update.
Right.
This is where we're at. Like,
To Nancy's point,
I
is that
really
we need
don't know
we
if
need
we
new
need to-
people to this committee.
sure.
If we want to.
Or we don't, because maybe it fizzled out because it's not an issue anymore.
So,
Good point.
so maybe we present it, and if people want to still get on the committee, then that means that there's still,
Or have a discussion.
Like,
Maybe there's no reason to have the committee anymore.
right. And here's what we learned, by the way, it's ridiculously expensive when we get sued, and we will get sued.
And
Yes.
we will get sued.
Yes.
So we know for a fact we will get sued at $500 an hour. And, you know, I think this was a self-correcting issue.
I mean, it'll bankrupt us.
But at the same time, if issues like what Chris said, if people are breaking the rules, we send, I think, was it you or Dave that said, send a certified letter, just because we're talking about an issue that isn't an issue anymore, in my opinion.
all right.
Yeah.
So, we had a lot of good ideas tossed around. I think, we give a brief, the committee's still working in the June meeting, the committee's still working. And I'm going to ask Adam a few more questions. I'll get the answers out to the board, and then we can, I think, and there's been so many, referendum, have a vote, don't have a vote. I think Dave's right. We don't have enough
I
of the
just don't
facts.
want to have a
Right.
vote on.
I've been there once.
If it comes down to that, I don't think it's a good idea to have a vote unless we have a vote with everybody. But the more I'm thinking about it, I agree with what Craig is saying. It was an issue. It's not an issue anymore. The issues that we did have, we have a solution for those, and
Can you present that?
That's a good point.
that's,
It
Kind of why I said that.
basically a non-issue.
if there is an issue, there's certain things that we can do.
Yeah, if there's an issue and somebody has an issue, bring it to your beach rep and bring it to the board. If
Right.
somebody still has ongoing issues, then bring it to us. But, it's been almost 2 years and nothing's happened.
Yeah, it's 2 years, and I would hate to say the committee's work isn't done, and that's just 2
Yeah,
years. People
I
are gonna be
agree.
like.
Well, I think we
But
present,
also it's, I'm sorry.
I think we present the rules and regs that they did come up with that we can do, that we don't have in our books yet.
Yep.
And then, let them know that, yes, there's a
You're
solution.
providing an update.
Yeah.
And it's,
There's a solution, but it's just not feasible.
Can we just take what the committee's suggestions are as far as what we can do and incorporate it into our rules and regulations?
And that's what we wanted to do.
I mean, to my mind, that's the solution here. The committee did the work. These are the recommendations. This is what the lawyer approved. Here's the solution. It's going in the rules and regs. Done.
They don't even go to where what the lawyer said we might be able to do, but then, because it's a non-starter.
Well, what
That's
the
a total
committee
non-starter.
recommends is not necessarily may not agree with what the attorney recommends.
He flat out said he disagreed that renting
Right.
is exactly like short-term renting.
So,
But
with
that's
credence
not
of the
true.
Committee, it makes no sense.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, if we're going by the attorney's lesson, that makes what we want to do,
Right.
not what the committee decided.
Yeah,
That's
this is-
ridiculous.
Right.
Right, what the committee recommended, what the attorney approved, and that's what we incorporated. into
There's
our
a,
rules
there's a
and regs.
difference of opinion, but obviously we're going with the
You don't
attorney.
have to go there.
Mhm.
We have to just say, look, just what Dave just said.
All right.
And I think if we try to put rules over what's a business and what's not, we're just opening ourselves up for more. It just doesn't make any sense. We're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole for an issue that went away. Let's just call it what it is, add the rules and regs and be done with it.
I agree with you, Craig.
Are you comfortable with the way to present it?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion, we end the meeting?
Second.
Hey.
All in
Thanks
favor?
for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Tell Robin.
Nice to see you all.
Robin, she come up from her.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye.
Woman cave.
Yeah, this is what she got down there. Yeah.
So you enjoy it. So we going to beach fence?
No, but thank you.
I don't know if I could fix in the back.
Are you gonna ask?
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.
I lost it somewhere in there.
On the third page. just
What do you want us to
following
do
up on
about the fence?
See you later. Thank you. I think we
Bye,
just